KTAR-FM and the KTAR News app.
All right, thanks so much for being here. One of the priorities of the President of the United States has been the issue of the United States borders, north and south, but especially specifically the southern border of the United States, executive orders. But one of the things that Congress has passed now, or at least we're anticipating the House will pass the Senate version of the Laken Riley Act. One of the co-sponsors was Arizona Senator Gallego. He joins us now. Senator, thank you for doing this.
Good morning.
I just want to read a couple of things and see if this surprises even you. The former Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb, I've been on the front lines of the border crisis, and he says, I want to thank Senator Gallego for supporting the Laken Riley Act. So did Sheriff Rhodes from the Arizona Sheriff's Association. It seems like we are jumping into this border issue with some bipartisan support. Are you happy about that?
Well, of course, I'm happy about it because it's a response to, what Arizonans asked me to do when I was running for office and even after winning. They said that they wanted to see real common sense solutions. They wanted it done in a bipartisan manner. You just quoted two people that are, outright professionals, and they're going to put, the state over our party politics. And much like I did, with this vote, I think they're doing the same.
So let's talk about some of the areas of disagreement. I did read your statement about birthright citizenship. When it comes to these things on individual policies, do you believe there's going to be an open line of communication with the White House where you can discuss the issues of disagreement as much as you disagree, or you can discuss the issues of agreement?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I think number one, as my job as senator is to do that no matter what, whether it's with a Democratic administration or Republican administration. Some of these executive orders, we're just not going to stand by and pass without a fight, especially when it comes to birthright citizenship. Why is that? In my, 2 years of campaigning, I never heard one person ask for that. I don't believe it actually adds to border security at all, and I think it actually diminishes our country in many ways. Now, where can we find areas of agreement? Listing cartels as terrorist organizations, I think, is a good idea. I think we need to put as many resources as possible, and there are a lot of military resources. And I'm not talking like sending like the Navy SEALs to go take down the Zetas or anything like that. But like, for example, being able to use our military intelligence and gathering capability to figure out where they are coming from, how they're getting their money, all these things that you just don't have on the civilian side, because people forget these cartels are very sophisticated. They pay a lot of people very top-notch money to keep them out of trouble and keep them out of jail. And using the military and its capabilities to go after these guys is a very, very good idea, and we should find ways that we could work together. Overall, what I'd love the administration to understand is that real border security and fixed immigration reform can be done. It has to be done in a bipartisan manner, and he could find help, with some of us Democrats in the Senate.
Senator Ruben Gallego is joining us. So the three different issues on the border, at least as way it's been explained to me, and I agree with, is you got the border security piece, the immigration piece, and commerce and trade. If we are able to secure the border with the things you support, the immigration piece of this, what reforms are you supporting to our immigration system so that good people can still come to the U.S. as we're keeping bad people out? How do we make it easier for good people to come?
You basically said my campaign motto: good people in, bad people out, right? And so if we can get, border security, and look, we're never going to have 100% border security, but we need to have our border patrol, our ICE agents, our customs agents have the full technology and manpower that they feel they need to do the best job possible. And once we do that, we do move on to work visas for the areas of the business sector that we cannot find workers. And then we do have to look at the situation of what we have here. We have mixed families. We have dreamers. Now they're like in their 30s. They have families. They have U.S. citizen kids. They have businesses. We should put them in the process to legal permanent residency, and if they qualify after that, become citizens. There are people here that have been here for maybe more than 10 years, that have U.S. citizen kids, have roots in the community, and have no criminal record. And then they should also, but now they should, like many other people, they have to get to the back of the line. They have to pay a fine, and they have to, start the process to move towards legal permanent residency. And then for those people that are right now, and there are, by the way, hundreds of thousands of people that are legally here. They're waiting for the legal permanent residency, and we just have not made the process. Those are the people that are in the front of the line should go first. And that's something that I think most Americans would agree with. But it does have to start with us actually fully giving the capabilities to Border Patrol, Customs, and ICE to deport those bad people in this country to start moving along towards immigration reform later.
I'm so glad you brought up the Dreamers, because in my mind, the biggest example of a broken immigration system is that we have these adults that for all intents and purposes have grown up as Americans, and they are not living fully as Americans. Will Congress act, now that we are working on border security together on both sides of the aisle? Will both sides come together to do something about permanent status for the Dreamers? Will it get done legislatively, do you believe?
Look, I'm hoping. I don't want to jump the gun and assume one way or the other. I know that there are Republicans that want to get this done. I think potentially President Trump may also want to do the same thing, particularly with just this one community. So we're certainly going to engage in any type of negotiations when it comes to helping establish our Dreamers in this country and give them an opportunity to become U.S. citizens. And if that means that we have to, do some trade-offs, and that maybe we'll have to go down that road, but I'm not willing to just close the door because we have closed in the past.
Let me shift gears, as long as I have you for a couple of more minutes. Marco Rubio confirmed as Secretary of State. It was a unanimous confirmation. That one was expected. Do you expect that there is going to be heavy pushback and the possibility of some of the president's nominations to not get confirmation through the Senate?
Well, there's, just because there's partisan politics, there's always pushback. I've already saw some pushback for me voting for Marco Rubio, but what I've been saying to people, I'm following my constitutional duty for advice and consent when it comes to the president's cabinet members. I want him to have the people to help him do the best job possible for this country, not necessarily for him, but for this country. And when possible, I will support those nominees, especially if they give me enough information so I can make a good educated guess for the people of Arizona that these people are going to do good work. For those that I just don't think are going to abide by the Constitution, are going to be harmful to Arizona and to the United States, then I'll oppose. But everyone's going to get, at least this is how I'm operating, everyone's going to get an equal opportunity to convince me, to give me the information I need, and we're going to have conversations. And for those that I think hit those metrics I just laid out, I will support.
And then the last question, Senator, questions have to do with the economy. The president has got the Department of Government Efficiency. He wants to root out what he says is waste and redundancy in the government and possibly save taxpayers trillions of dollars. But he also talks about tax cuts as a pathway to cut spending or at least balance the budget. Do you agree in part with the president? What would be your policy or your plan in the Senate with your colleagues of how we can reduce spending or at least reduce the deficits?
Well, you could at least, number one, we should always be looking for ways to cut waste, right? And the difference is we have to make sure that cutting waste does not necessarily mean cutting, very essential programs. And for example, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, right? Very important in Arizona. I wrote the Medicaid expansion law with a couple other Democrats and Republicans. It kept all these rural hospitals open, all these urban hospitals open. And so I'm all for trying to find ways to save money for the taxpayer, but also it's not an excuse to cut these very, 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 very important programs and then turn around and give tax cuts to the very rich. Let's work together to find where there certainly is government waste, without a doubt. Let's cut the real government waste. Let's cut tax cuts for the middle class of this country and small businesses. Particularly love to get our families a tax cut, especially those that have kids. And at the same time, let's keep our eye on the ledger sheet, because just because we think we're balancing the budget, if we go too far with too many tax cuts and we aren't paying our bills, we're going to end up seeing interest rates continue to go up and inflation going to continue to be a big problem. And in Arizona, that means higher home prices. So we have to keep a long-term eye on this, and I'm hoping the president will listen to us in the Senate when we potentially come with some compromises.
The president has talked of, and some other people associated with him have talked about reforming the tax system to make it simplifying the tax system, so the average taxpayer isn't going through all the hoops and jumping through the hoops they have to file their taxes. Are you in favor of a simplification of the tax code?
Yeah, well, there's already been some movement on this, and I just think a lot of people don't even know it. Like, for example, Arizona is one of the states where you can file your taxes, where it's the 1040EZ or 1040A, whichever one uses. You can go online and do this. You don't have to go through TurboTax or any of these groups. Hopefully, they're not a supporter of your show. I don't know. Sorry if I got them pissed off at you. But that's the kind of stuff we should be doing. And like simplification of taxes, I'm all for that, as long as the burden doesn't shift back to the middle class, right? And I think people forget, like, middle class is not $50,000 a year anymore. Middle class is really $100,000 in Arizona. Like, I'm sure mathematically there's going to be some economist that's going to send you a note later on that says, like, well, technically speaking,
right,
if you're in Arizona right now and you're a family of four and you're making $100,000, you are not living comfortably. And so it's just a fact. I mean, I talked to a lot of people, and it's just, they're hurting right now. So whenever we do tax cuts and we do simplification, we have to make sure that the family that's making, on average less than $100,000, the burden doesn't shift to them, and the people that really start making feeling the benefit of it ends up being those families are making around $200,000 to $300,000 a year, right? So I'll be looking at it. I'm up for trying to figure out how to do it, again, as long as we don't end up shifting this down to our Arizonans that really can't afford that shift.
Senator, I appreciate the time this morning, and I hope we can do this more often. I'd love to get updates as things progress in the Senate and get your opinion on what's happening.
You got it. Yeah. Sorry if I ruined one of your sponsorships, but
No,
I'll be careful next time.
Not at all. I think that's hilarious. I appreciate it.
All right. Adios, man.
All right. Take care. That is Senator Ruben Gallego. Coming up in a moment, Gatos joins me. It's our Big Q poll question of the day. If you made a New Year's resolution to address weight loss, if you'd like to lose weight, and you've tried in the past, it hasn't really worked for you, and you've heard a lot about semaglutide or tirzepatide, the GLP-1 medications, Red Mountain Weight Loss is the solution. Now, listen, they've been doing this for over 30 years. They've helped over 1 million people